aliphatic, ester of polyethylene glycol, and the lithium perchlorate salt. Please.
Good afternoon. In our presentation, we'll speak about nanotechnology materials of electrochemical applications based on epoxy resins. The results were obtained after collaboration between Ukraine and French institutions. Generally speaking, such solid polymer electrolytes based on epoxy oligomer and lithium perchlorate salt. Conducting polymer materials are needed for producing different chemical devices. It can be batteries for cells, cells for producing chemical, substance, sensors, and others. The characteristics of such materials depend on the device purpose and conduction of their applications. But the first important question is what level of conductivity such polymer can provide. Nanotechnology is mostly used to ion conductive material at industrial scale, mainly as a material for proton exchange membranes in hydrogen fuel cells. The level of proton conductivity is widespread, reaching the values which liquid electrolytes have. Such high level of conductivity is due to a specific natron structure. Such structure of natron is its disadvantages at the same time because of limited temperature range to its use. Other example of conductivity polymer materials widely studied in recent years in polyethylene oxide containing lithium salt. Such polymers are perspective for production of lithium storage batteries. High connect of ester oxygen in the polyethylene oxide matrix is the main structure particularity that contributes to cation motion and transfer along the single polymer change or from one change to another. So, if you want to obtain ion conductive polymers, you should first synthesize materials with such a similar specific structure feature. Epoxy resins are traditionally used. This is a wide class of substance for polymer production. At the same time, for example, epoxy aliphatic resin consists of molecular change of the same structure as polyethylene oxide. Chemical structure as of the epoxy oligomer are shown on the present slide. An aliphatic epoxy oligomer contains ester oxygen. Its chemical structure is similar to the structure of polyethylene oxide. The epoxy oligomer of diglycide, aliphatic ester, and salt were used for synthesis of ion conductivity epoxy polymer nanocomposites. Salt was pre-dried in vacuum at 80 degrees Celsius during 8 hours. After the salt was dissolved in oligomer DEC. Solution of DEC and salt were prepared with salt connect from 0 to 0.5 HR on 100 of DEC. Polyethylene polyamine 100 was used as a curing agent. Whether our nanocomposites are perspective as a solid polymer electrolyte. At temperature below less transition temperature, permittivity has low value and heavily vary with frequency, indications the blocking effect of free charge occurs due to the low mobility of macromolecular change of the polymer matrix. In the same range of temperature values of the real part of the complex, conductivity vary linearly with frequency. The system is an insulator. At temperature both higher than less transition temperature, comes drawing of the polymer changes that leads to the release of lithium cation and to the growth of permittivity values. Free lithium cations pass into the conduction band and begin to move along the polymer change with the participation of oxygen atom in this movement. This charge transfer leads to an increase in the electrical conductivity of of the system and the appearance of a plateau of low frequency. The so-called plateau DC conductivity is a term where conductivity values do not depend on frequency in the spectrum of the real part of the complex conductivity. The table shows permittivity at frequency 10 at 3 Hz. Also, the values of the real part of the complex conductivity for different temperature proves the range of the little salt containing the epoxy resin are presented. With the increase of temperature above 40-60 degrees Celsius, the number of free charge carriers, lithium ion, that overcome the energy barrier and move into a leading state grows. The lead to the blocking effect of the electrode that is caused by the space charge polarization. The maximum values of permittivity up to 10 at 6 and conductivity 10 up to -3 are intended for the sample deck at 20 pH perchlorate lithium at 20 degrees Celsius. On the another hand, the mechanical properties are also important for the solid-state polymer electrolytes. It's obvious from TMI tools that addition of the salt enhances the mechanical characteristics of the nanocomposite. Also, the glass transition temperature of the composite obtained depending on the content of lithium perchlorate in the reactive mixture was determined from the TMI course at the phase heading and the DSC course at the second heading. As one can see, the increase of the salt content from 0 to 20 with to increase of glass transition temperature of the obtained composites. The process of the diffraction peak in the nanocomposites which contain salt can be explained by formation of metal polymer complex with coordinating bonds. Perchlorate lithium interacts with macromolecular change of depth, namely location lithium, and at oxygen and forms coordinating complex. And conclusions. The synthesis of epoxy oligomer type in the pyramid of lithium perchlorate made possible to obtain an ion conductivity polymer nanocomposite with a high level of ionic conductivity and the permittivity at elevated temperature. That has a higher heat resistance compared to polyethylene oxide, thus it's highly perspective as a solid polymer electrolyte about to operate at high temperature. It shows that the increase of lithium perchlorate content on the one hand leads to an increase in permittivity and conductivity, since salt is the source of calcium lithium, and on the other hand, it affects on the hardening process of epoxy matrix, as evidenced from a significant increase of the glass transition temperature with increasing of salt contained in the reaction mixture. That is explained by formation of cognitive complex, and that is confirmed. Thank you for your attention.
Okay. Are there any questions? Seems no. Do you have any other results on other lithium compounds? Apart from lithium perchlorate, are you perform other experiment on other lithium compounds?
No, it's a new job. It's in future we will be working.
Okay. Any other questions? If not, I'd like to thank the speakers again. Now is Yulia Litvinenko, and the title of the talk is Multi-Step Sorption Process of Anionic Surfactants by Magnetite Nanoparticles.